Apologies for the few minutes lateness, but this is S24 News Rundown. I am Zainab Ibrahim, and here's our news in brief. Now the news in details. To start with, the Nigerian Labour Congress has rejected the proposed 100,000 naira national minimum wage being considered by state governors, describing it as inadequate in light of Nigeria's current economic realities. NLC spokesperson Benson Okpa said the amount falls far below what workers need to survive, arguing that a more realistic wage could be as high as 1 million naira monthly. He pointed to the rising cost of living, worsening inflation, the depreciation of the naira, increased electricity tariff, and high fuel prices as major factors eroding work purchasing power. The proposal was disclosed by the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, who said governors were considering minimum wage to ease the burden on workers and economic hardship. In another news, the Lagos state government has begun implementing measures to reduce contact between international passengers at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport as part of effort to prevent the possible entry of Ebola virus disease into Nigeria. Health officials, aviation authorities, and airport management recently carried out a preparedness assessment at the airport, reviewing surveillance system, screening procedures, and emergency response plans following renewed Ebola outbreaks in part of Central and East Africa. The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akina Bayomi, said the goal is to quickly identify and isolate potential cases without disrupting airport operations. Now, the Nigerian Union of Teachers has directed all public primary and secondary school teachers in Oyo State to withdraw their services indefinitely, beginning today, 2026, in protest against the continued captivity of teachers and students abducted in Orire local government area. The union said the action followed the May 15 attack on schools in Yawuta and Esinile communities where government kidnapped dozens of pupils, students, and teachers, while 2 teachers were reportedly killed. NUT President Audu Amba confirmed the directive, stressing the teachers would remain at home until the victims regain their freedom. The union also announced nationwide solidarity rallies scheduled for June 2nd across state capitals to demand stronger government intervention and improved security in schools. The Osho State All Progressive Congress Governorship Campaign Council has called for a full investigation into the death of Taliat Simbiat, a woman who reportedly died during their called party primary election for the Ayedire Iwo Olaoluwa Federal Constituency in Iwo. The APC, through its Media and Publicity Committee head, Remi Omowaye, alleged that the primary was marred by violence, destruction of property, and widespread unrest. According to the party, reports from different parts of the state indicated that several people sustained injuries, which one life was lost during the exercise. The APC urged security agencies to identify and prosecute those responsible, insisting that no political affiliation should shield anyone from justice. Now, President Bola Tinubu has approved the recruitment of 1,000 forest guards in Oyo State and ordered the deployment of a specialized rescue team to intensify efforts to secure the release of pupils and teachers abducted from schools in Orire local government area. The decision followed a visit by a high-powered federal government delegation to the affected Esiele and Yawuta communities, where government kidnapped students and teachers during attacks on 3 schools in May. The delegation, led by the President Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, assured residents that the federal government remained committed to bringing the victims home safely. On the internationals, the United Nations Security Council is set to hold an emergency meeting on Lebanon following Israel's takeover of the historic Beaufort Castle in southern Lebanon, a move that has heightened tensions in the region. France requested the meeting after condemning Israel's expanding military operation, arguing that the continued advance into Lebanese territory could further destabilize the fragile ceasefire that has been repeatedly violated by both sides. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described the capture of the medieval fortress as a dramatic shift in the campaign against Hezbollah and vowed to deepen military operations in areas previously controlled by the group. Now moving on to our next segment, the business news with Hadiza Galadima. Thank you so much, Hadiza Galadima, as always. Moving on to our next segment, we're starting with the first daily front page, which says NLC demands 1 million naira minimum wage, rejects 100,000 naira. This is actually quite funny, quite ridiculous. Abakar, what do you think about this request?
Thank you so much, Zainab. Welcome back once more.
Thank you for having me.
NLC as the Labour Congress, Nigerian Labour Congress, it will always continue to yarn and chant in the spirit of Nigerian workers.
Yes.
And we said, Aluta continue, Victoria Asata.
Yeah.
So how possible is that NLC are demanding almost 1 million naira as the new national minimum wage? We need to be realistic with ourselves. Talking is easier than doing. Before, it was how much that was the national minimum wage, and it was later increased to 70,000 naira.
Yes.
And even right now, as I'm speaking,
some people are not.
Some people are not
yet to even collect that 70,000 naira.
Thank you so much. And subsequently, yesterday or day before yesterday, in a broad daylight, we saw the governor of Kwara, Abdurazak, asking the governors when they paid a homage to the president, saying that it's high time to start paying the new national minimum wage of 100,000 naira. Well, it's a good policy. It's a beautiful policy, which I believe is really, really important. But how possible is that? Then recently, the NLC are saying that no, 100,000 naira is not going to be enough for Nigerian workers. Well, they are right. Actually, they are right.
Where I will support the NLC is that 100,000 is actually not enough if you look at the inflation and the economic situation of the country. But 100 million naira is not going to be enough either.
No, it's 1
Do
million.
you know why? Because after increasing this minimum wage, what happened to the policy? Are the market people who are not collecting this minimum wage are just going to open their eyes and look at you and be like, okay, they've now increased the minimum wage. How does it get to work? Everything is going to increase. The fuel price is going to increase. The market prices are going to increase because the people are now collecting better. So Do you think the NLC are fighting the wrong battle by just seeking for minimum wage increase?
NLC are fighting the right battle, but in a wrong timing. Because let's be realistic with ourselves. You see, the issue of increase in the new minimum wage is not going to do anything. Rather, I think it is better for the NLC to start advocating for reforms, for policies that will make Naira more stable, that will at least bring more policies that will cushion the effect of poverty, cushion the effect of massive corruption in the civil service and the rest. These are the things I'm expecting the NLC to advocate for that. But I believe as the union of comrades, which they believe Aluta will also continue. So I believe maybe the governors will see the yearning and will actually respond to them.
An interesting part of this headline is them rejecting an amount that has not even been implemented. Have they even received 100,000 naira?
And I don't want to be
rejecting it and being.
And I don't want to be pessimistic. I always love predicting, and God so can have always been showing our prediction is right. Our 19 northern governors,
are you sure,
will be the first, will be among the
last
first
time we
people.
had a prediction with you, Abubakar, it did not come out that way. So be wary of the kind of predictions you'll be making.
Okay, I stand to be corrected.
Okay.
But the way things are going in this country, those governors will be the first people to start calling down, no, we cannot pay that 100,000 naira. Write it down.
Do Nigerians actually have the resources? Let's assume let's forget about the request and talk about the possibility. Do we have the resources of making our minimum wage 100 million?
Of course, Nigeria is the giant of Africa.
This has nothing to do with the
Nigeria have been funding things that are not even very, very important. Now, to close of paying the civil servant that are been working 247 to make this country in a very stable position.
Nigerians have been borrowing, which shows that we are not actually financially stable.
We are financially stable. You know, in terms of, I'm not a financial expert. You know, sometimes you don't need to be thinking that maybe you are rich when you have the liquid money. We have the asset, we have the natural resources, we have the availability of the natural resources that are untapped, that are yet. I don't really believe that Nigeria will not be able to pay that amount. We just have the political will.
That is another conversation entirely. Are Nigerians even ready to, make use of their natural resources?
We are, as long as we have the right people in place, the right people in the position of leadership, those people that know the benefit of education, and those people that have the focus to put this country forward. I believe Nigeria will be better than many places that we are eyeing.
When are we going to have the right people?
Soon.
Let's move quickly to the next headline. And this is on the Matrix front page. It says, adoption banditry, federal government swing into action. Yes, we've seen some, activity, some, order by the federal government, but how would this actually, facilitate the level of security? How would it help?
Yesterday, Zainab, the president sent a strong delegation to the affected community.
That was what we saw on paper.
Well, it was actually a strong delegation, but actually this did make many Nigerians to wonder if the president, during the time of campaign, will visit people at the grassroots level. Why is it now those communities that are affected by the issue of insecurity, why is it that the president is yet to go there and sending a strong delegation as just a political statement?
That shows you that the president is never going to go to the grassroots.
This is the second time we are seeing.
And when you're not connected to the victims, how will
you even know what is exactly wrong with them? And Zainab, politics is local. People seems to forget that all those politicking that is taking place in Abuja, this is not politics. Rather, this is just a mere what we call tabling meshai analysis. Politics is local. Go to your people, listen to them. What is your problem? You will be amazed if I tell you all the natural resources that Nigeria is parading itself, that we are the giant of Africa, we are tapping the natural resources from our local community.
But do you think these politicians do not know that politics is local? Well, I think they understand that politics is local.
They are actually drifting from that.
The campaign period, they know how to get to the grassroots with their, one noodle of rice and few spaghetti to get to the grassroots. And so they understand, but they are not just going to do the job.
And Zainab, I want to tell you, based on what we saw on social media, this is the second time. Remember what happened last 2 months at Plateau when the president went to Plateau? He didn't even step inside
Yeah.
the town. He
Yeah.
just went ahead and waved them and just spoke to them for just 16 to 20 minutes and left.
And left.
Is this the type of leaders we are eyeing
With
for?
selected parents.
With selected few individuals. And this is the president that swore with the Quran, saying that he is going to protect the life of Nigerians. And we're expecting such things from him. Well, it's a good step because based on what he said that they promised to leave no stone unturned and they will do
Yes,
everything
I
possible
think
to see that.
one of this the effort towards the issue was the selection of 1,000, security and local security to get these victims back. But how are we certain? What happens to our army if we're having
Sometimes
local?
sometimes political statement is actually sweet.
Mm.
As someone that is number one citizen, you have everybody under you. You are just commanding. You're a special advisor on media and publicity. Will write a fancy and good English. Will just bring to you and read it. And to Nigerians are actually losing hope with the way the government is fighting insecurity. And now look at we are thinking of the one part of the country which is Oyo State. What of the adoption that happened at Kwara? What of the adoption that happened at Papiri? And I believe if care is not taken, more adoption, we are going to experience more adoption.
Yes, it is hard time. It is hard time for Nigerians to understand that the issue of security is no longer subjected to just one part, maybe just the north. It is now a national issue. The entire country is now suffering from it. So I think maybe this would be like a stand-up call for all of us to know how to select our, leaders better. Because I feel like those from the West, they tend to stay silent when a part of the country is suffering. But maybe now that we're not saying what happened is actually a good thing, but this is a call-up call to Nigerians to know that insecurity is now a national issue. And we, as far as I'm concerned, I've not seen any, swing. I've not seen any action that has been taking place in order to, get this. Because if you see the videos online regarding these children and how they are treated, how do you think their parents feel about this? So you just make, frivolous decision that, okay, these people should just go out. Is that even going to solve the problem? But I know people will say that federal government is making efforts. We will not, dwell on this, but we pray to see, a better result at the end of this day. With this, we'll be going to our next segment, the S24 report, coming to you after the break.
Welcome back from that break. This is Political Arena on S24 television. Today we are discussing a very important topic, the link between insecurity and the political instability in our dear country, Nigeria. Insecurity has become one of the major challenges in Nigerian politics. Issues such as terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, communal clashes that affect governance and national development across our dear country, Nigeria. To help us understand the link between insecurity and political instability, I am joined by a university lecturer from the Department of Political Science, University of Maiduguri, who is Baba Abdullahi Machina. Baba Abdullahi, welcome to Political Arena on S24 television.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So what is the connection between insecurity and political instability, especially in the northern part of the country?
Thank you very much for this. I think we need to understand that security, before we even talk about the link between the insecurity and political stability, we also need to understand that security almost everywhere in Nigeria, not only limited to northern part of the country. Of course, maybe from the beginning of the insecurity that it is only confined to the northeastern part of Nigeria. I came from Northeast and I know what we have gone through for almost more than a decade. That there has been insecurity of Boko Haram that continue to create a lot of challenges, especially governance challenges and other developmental challenges over time. But then we have seen the security has now taken another dimension. Of course, before 2015 election, before Buhari came on board, I think it was insecurity and corruption that has been used as or capitalized by the opposition to unseat Jonathan administration. Jonathan was out of power and then the insecurity continued to persist. I'm not saying that the government is not taking any decisive action over time to address the challenges of the insecurity, but it continued to escalate. What we are doing now in terms of addressing the security is we are scratching the surface. And by doing so, we cannot be able to address the root causes of the problems.
Okay. So in what ways does insecurity affect the public trust, especially among Nigerians?
Well, the public trust, it has already been declined, and that was as a result of the insecurity in the country. When I say insecurity now, we are not limiting to only northern part of the country. You have seen what happened in Oyo State. We have seen what happened in Kwara State,
Niger.
And then Niger State. You can name them. There are almost insecurity in almost part of this country. In fact, even here in Abuja, you can travel 100 kilometers and whatever direction that your safety is guaranteed 100%. So that trust is not there. It has already declined. Because if we should remember that one of the primary responsibility of government everywhere in the world is to protect life and property of citizens. And that is number one. But government failed woefully to do for upon that responsibility.
Government is trying. You can't just paint government has failed woefully.
Yeah, yes, of course, government has tried.
Because when Buhari came on board, where he came from, it was actually volatile. But when Buhari came, during his area as the president of Nigeria, at least normalcy have returned in most part of Maiduguri.
Yeah, yes, I agree. Normalcy has returned in some part of Maiduguri, not Maiduguri precisely, but in Borno, some part of Borno as a state. But I assure you there are places today that is not accessible in Borno State. There are communities. Remember that there are a lot of issues that happened under this administration. In fact, it was even happened under Buhari administration. It was just of recent, not less than 3 or 4 months ago, General was killed, senior military officers was killed, So all those things, there are places in Borno that you cannot go. Of course, I'm not saying that the government is not doing enough. Yes, government is doing enough, but we need proactive and decisive action in tackling those insecurity issues. Now, the insecurity has already taken another dimension. If you say Borno is safe now, okay, what of the north central part of the country? What about the northwestern part of the country?
But we saw some clips going on online. The Senate president is saying that some people are actually using the issue of insecurity in order to jeopardize the good work that this government have been doing.
Is it not the responsibility of the government to bring to justice whoever is accused of those, capitalizing on the insecurity? Of course, that has been the conversation in the country. Of course, in fact, we need to go beyond that conversation.
To your own perception, that is just a political distraction.
That is just a political distraction. It is the responsibility of the government to protect life and property of the citizens. Why the government is coming out to say that?
So when the government failed to do that, what are the possible solutions to do that? Because security, we believe, is very, very paramount and vital.
Yes, security is almost everybody's business. It is you and I's business.
So what are the solutions to the issue of insecurity?
Yeah,
especially we are heading toward 2027.
The issue of insecurity. To be honest, to be realistic, you will see more of insecurity as we are approaching 2027 election.
Is that a political distraction too?
It is. But it is also responsibility of the government to ensure that it protect life and property of the citizens. And that is why when you talk about the trust, I told you that the trust is declined. If one of the primary responsibility of the government everywhere in the world is protect life and properties, and government fail to do that, to some extent, I may agree that maybe some part of the country is being said, but which part of the country is 100% secure? And sleep your two eyes closed. Which part of the country is? So we have a lot of security challenges, and that public trust is decreased. And that is one of the challenges of democracy that we're facing in this country.
You came from the academic line. So what are you doing from your own part in order to make sure that this country remain a stable, peace, and governable?
Well, it is not a job of only one person.
It's a collective responsibility.
It's a collective responsibility. And that is why the community policing is very important.
Are you also advocating for state police?
Yes, to some extent, because what I really don't want part of this state police is where governors will have the tendencies of
manipulate them.
We have seen what they have been doing with their political talks, ECOMOG and what have you. But by the time you say the state police is under their control, you see how democracy is being practiced in Nigeria. You see how democracy is being, whatever it is, we don't even observe the basic tenet of democracy. All those things. So now, if you say police, state police, of course, yes, I am advocate of that. But I think we need to be very careful in handling the police affairs to the control or under the control of the state governors. We have seen their track record of manipulating and taking advantage of the security that is under their own control.
But don't say that these are all allegations, because do you really have factual data to back that?
Well, you see, there are no data that can speak to that. I'm not saying that there are no data or completely, but to my own knowledge, I haven't across any data that speak to that. But then you need to also understand that these are something that you can see in everyday life. If somebody is an activist, you criticize the government, you hold the government accountable, you say, where is the money go? And we need to hold you accountable. The next tomorrow, you'll see somebody will come and pick you in a house. And then they use these state apparatus, they use state resources, and then they use state, this ECOMOG and all of that, and their own vigilante, especially in northern part of in northeastern part of the country. Before you have been taken to.
Well, before we draw the curtain of the program, ahead of 2027, what are your calls to Nigeria, especially you that you came from the northeastern part of the country? I believe now there's a relatively peaceful in northeastern part of the country. So what are your calls in ensuring going for credible leaders that will continue to make sure this country remain our dear country, Nigeria?
Well, my call to action is very simple. That is why I always argue that democracy only functions when citizens are well educated and well active. And that is one of the foundations of democracy. And one of the biggest problems that we are facing, before I come to that call to action, I really wanted to say that one of the biggest challenges that we are facing in terms of democracy in Nigeria is weak accountability. There are also, weak governance, and there are corruption. Corruption is almost everywhere in this country, in the states, in the federal, wherever, as far as government is concerned, there are a lot of corruptions. And this money is earmarked for education, for health, for infrastructure.
We have 13 seconds to run it
Okay,
off.
yes. So my call to action is that government has to be very decisive and proactive. We need to go beyond talking. We need to go beyond making rhetoric and all of that. We need decisive action in tackling this insecurity once and for all. We cannot continue.
Thank you.
Yeah, insecurity will continue to persist, and every election cycle will say X, Y, Z. I think we need to go beyond that.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure speaking to you here on S24 Political Arena. And that is all what we have on S24 Political Arena. Stay tuned for our S24 Day commentary. Thank you and bye for now.
So yes, there should be more emphasis on the victims because we have the numbers and we have with the humanitarian ministry, they have the data and a sense of coordination of the numbers. And then if you're able to probably have a one-on-one with them, you're able to tell on a basis of assessment, this is exactly what they need to reintegrate back. Even if they are not able to reintegrate immediately on the immediate term, then you can at least create palliatives for them. So they are not too afraid to go back to what they have always known how to do as a means of livelihood.
Because again, I think for me, it's a lot to do with trust, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, if you're in an internally displaced camp, you're almost lucky because you managed to get away. So we forget about that. The reason that people don't want to be in these camps, they've come for a particular reason. Someone coming in and saying, oh, it's all been sorted, you can go home and start farming again. That's about as far away from the first step that these people need to take, isn't it?
No. Interestingly, I like that some international organizations like the EU, they have like a satellite system in collaboration with the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. They have a satellite system to determine safe spaces. So I think that's a component to what can be possible in terms of having that trust developed for the smallholder farmers to find areas where they can reintegrate back as it means.
I think that's amazing because a lot of the conversations I have in Nigeria, particularly on this visit, have been around ungoverned spaces and insecurity. And you're talking about there a proactive system that's using technology in order to monitor safe spaces for allowing people to return. So how important is in sort of, the agriculture, agri-business space, things like drone technology and the use of satellites when it comes to helping people to return, but also do better agriculture and better smallholders?
When you have a society where people have a sense of surveillance, I mean, everybody will know that, oh, I'm under watch. And there's a sense of wanting to do the right thing. So yes, if it becomes like a status quo that everybody is under watch, I think it would go a long way in helping. But it has to be done in a centralized system and accessible. I mean, if technology is accessible to big farms, smallholder farmers, when they have like the government creates a centralized system where they can also rely on this hands-on information that, oh, this is what is safe and this is what is not safe, then they're able to do a lot more and achieve a lot more. Even for projects, international projects, when you have international projects and you want to be sure that all the checks and balances are in place, drone technology comes really handy as well. So you are sure that whatever reports and data you have in real time corresponds with whatever you have documented, and that helps you to advance whatever course you're on. Yeah.
Now, anybody outside
So
Nigeria...
drone technology is always welcome.
Drone technology is important. Now, anybody outside of Nigeria will a bit like when they confuse Africa being a country and it's actually a continent. Nigeria being one of the largest country with 220 million people there's the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but then there's all of these states that exist within it. There's kind of all these different parts that make up the Federal Republic of Nigeria. How does, as someone who's a prolific networker and a connector and maker of contacts, how does an organisation like the EU, for example, begin to make sense and have real impact in a country like Nigeria? Is it at a federal level, or does it, with the federal government's permission, they can then go and target certain states and then find some states are better to work with than others when it comes to helping with agricultural projects?
I do not work with the European Union, but I'm aware of the Global Gateway Strategy, which is a robust, comprehensive document that helps to highlight the areas of interest of the European Union, and in terms of the context of the bilateral arrangements it has with Nigeria, particularly within the trade space. And I'm aware that I think they have an EU-Nigeria Business Forum coming up in June. I think most of the opportunities that are available to explore the Nigerian markets would be spotlighted, I don't know, for lack of better words to use. And then also, if you go through the contacts of the foreign missions, they have particular spaces where they are mostly interested in terms of interventions with Nigerian state actors. For example, healthcare is something that I think the EU has launched programs on here, and certain other areas. I mean, even the Belgian embassy, for example, have interests in targeted markets that benefit their companies, their local companies. So, but at the end of the day, when you do any projects with the foreign missions, there has to be a win-win strategy to whatever is presented.
You were mentioning to me about the Green Digital Heartland Initiative. Can you explain to me what that is? Because it sounds like a really exciting project.
Yeah. Okay, the Green Digital Heartland Initiative is targeted at benefiting smallholder Nigerian farmers, of course, in lieu of the displacements that have long been ongoing for a while now. And we are focusing on flashpoints such as Benue, Plateau, southern parts of Kaduna, Zamfara State as well. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, 90% of our local production for food is done locally. So 90% of that output has really been impacted. There's a huge decline of food staples. Way back, an average Nigerian, if you ask them, they'll tell you that for real, food has become really expensive, in the last 5 years, and it's owing to conflict. So everything always goes back to conflict, But at the end of the day, we can't do everything. We can't save the world. At Akasi, what we're now doing is to, on a victims basis approach, see how we can help them to still produce food, even whilst they are in captivity, through modern means of agricultural farming and mechanization. For example, aquaponics, and the likes. Because that you are displaced does not mean that your skills have disappeared,
Hello and welcome to Security Update on S24 Television. I am Gloria Atta. To begin with, the Nigerian military, working alongside the United States Africa Command, has recorded another major success against terrorism in the Northeast. A precision airstrike carried out in Arige, Kokawa local government area of Borno State reportedly neutralized 21 ISWAP fighters. Military sources say the operation was intelligence-driven and targeted a terrorist enclave where insurgents were coordinating attacks across the Lake Chad region. Authorities believe the strike has further weakened the operational capacity of the group and demonstrates growing cooperation between Nigeria and its international partners in the fight against terrorism. Meanwhile, fresh intelligence reports suggest that ISWAP is facing internal leadership challenges following the reported death of senior commander Abubakar Mainok during a previous Nigeria-US counterterrorism operation. Sources indicate that another top commander, Ba Shua, has been approached to assume a broader leadership role, but is reportedly reluctant to do so. Security analysts say pressure on terrorist leaders as intelligence-led operations continue to target key figures within the insurgent network. In a separate development, the Department of State Services, DSS, has arrested 5 suspected arms carriers linked to the Papiri school abduction case in Niger State. Among those arrested are 2 foreign nationals from Niger Republic and several Nigerian accomplices. Investigators say the suspects were involved in transporting weapons allegedly used in the attack on St. Mary's Catholic School in November 2025. Security operatives also recovered assault rifles and large quantities of ammunition, with authorities describing the arrests as a significant breakthrough in dismantling cross-border arms trafficking networks. And finally, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has arraigned 15 Chinese nationals and 9 Nigerians before a federal high court in Abuja over alleged illegal lithium mining in Nasarawa State. The defendants were accused of conducting mining operations without lawful authorization. Although the court granted them bail, it ordered the surrender of their passports and identity documents pending trial. The case has been adjourned until June 18, while authorities reaffirmed their commitment to tackling illegal mining and protecting Nigeria's mineral resources. That's all we can take for today. Thanks for watching and bye for now.
Hello and welcome to Tech World Updates, where we discuss technology, innovation, and digital world. I am Aisha Mohammed. Here's what's shaping ICT from Nigeria to the global stage. We begin in Nigeria as push for digital sovereignty through local data center expansion. Nigeria is taking significant steps towards securing its digital future through the development of locally hosted data centers designed to keep more data within the country's border. The initiative aims to reduce dependency on foreign cloud providers while providing the infrastructure needed to support the nation's growing artificial intelligence ecosystem. Industry experts say the move could strengthen national security, create jobs, and position Nigeria as a leading digital in Africa. And as Nigeria invests in the infrastructure powering the digital economy, attention is also turning to the infrastructure shaping the future of broadcasting. With the federal government maintaining June 17th as the official date for Nigerians' migration from analog to digital broadcasting, stakeholders are raising concerns over aspects of the implementation process. Industry groups argue that the transition must be carefully managed to ensure affordability, accessibility, and compliance with existing broadcasting regulation. Supporters of the initiative, however, says the switch is essential for modernizing the country's media landscape and improving content delivery. Beyond broadcasting, one challenge continues to affect almost every aspect of Africa's digital transformation: reliable power supply. A new report from the African Development Bank reveals that a majority of businesses across the continent continue to depend on generators due to persistent electricity shortages. The report warns that digital innovation, increasing operating costs for businesses. Yet, even amidst those challenges, efforts are growing to ensure Africa remains an active participant in the global artificial intelligence revolution. A new funding program has been unveiled to support the development of artificial intelligence tools and data sets focused on African languages. The initiative seeks to ensure the local languages are represented in future AI systems, helping bridge the digital divide while preserving cultural heritage. And speaking of artificial intelligence, global competition in the sector is becoming increasingly intense. Technology giant NVIDIA has unveiled its new Vera processor, purpose-built for growing world of agentic AI system capable of performing tasks with limited human intervention. Leading server manufacturers have already announced plans to integrate the new technology into future data center platforms. The launch signals a major shift in how artificial intelligence infrastructure is being designed to meet the demand and increasingly autonomous digital systems. While companies race to build the brains behind tomorrow's technology, others are focused on changing how people interact with it. Chinese technology company iFly Tech has launched a new generation of smart glasses equipped with an integrated AI assistant and advanced voice recognition capability. The company believes generative AI could finally help wearable technology move into the mainstream by providing users with real-time information and assistance through a lightweight device. And that's this on Tech World Updates, where innovation meets impact, technology shapes tomorrow, and the future stays in focus. Stay with us as after the break, entertainment news update is up next with Martha Opalanedu. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Update. Hope you had a great weekend. And to Muslim brothers and sisters, hope you had a great celebration. In today's Entertainment Update, we bring you the hot stories making waves in the world of celebrities, culture, and lifestyle. I am Martha Opalanedu, and here's what's buzzing today. Afrobeat superstar David Adeleke, aka Davido, is once again at the center of online conversations, but this time, it's not about a new hit song. The singer got Nigerians talking after speaking out about the country's insecurity and growing injustice. In a rare moment of reflection, Davido admitted that entertainers, including himself, haven't always done enough to use their voices on issues affecting everyday Nigerians. His comments quickly gained traction online, sparking both praise and criticism. And when one social media user questioned his motives, calling it pretentious, Davido fired back with a response that instantly became one of the most talked about moments on social media. Love him or hate him, one thing is for sure, Davido has everyone's attention. Now, let's talk about style, culture, and confidence. If there was an award for stealing the spotlight at the 2026 Ojude Oba Festival, many would say it belongs to Farouk Ore Agba and his son, Jumo. Farouk, who became a cultural sensation after his viral appearance at previous editions of the festival, returned in grand fashion. Dressed in stunning traditional attire and riding majestically on horseback, he received cheers from admirers. But the real surprise came when his son made an equally impressive entrance. Together, the father and son duo delivered a moment that had cameras flashing and social media timelines buzzing. From their fashion choices to their confidence, many have described them as a perfect collabo of tradition and premium style. The singer's announcement immediately attracted an outpouring of congratulatory messages from supporters, fellow gospel ministers, and well-wishers. For Steve Crown, whose songs have inspired worshippers across the world, this latest testimony is one that's touching hearts far beyond the music stage. Just so you know, there's never a dull moment in the world of showbiz. And that's your dose of entertainment update today. Thanks for watching. Coming up next is Sport Updates with Steven after the break.
From emotional farewells at Anfield to Champions League celebration in Paris and the Super Falcons gearing up for another big challenge, there's plenty making headlines across the sporting world today. We begin in England, where Liverpool manager Arne Slot has delivered an emotional goodbye message following his departure from the club. The Dutch coach, who guided Liverpool to their 20th league title during his time in charge, reflected on the highs and lows of his Anfield journey. Despite a disappointing fifth-place finish in this season, Slot said he lives with pride, believing the club remains among Europe's elites. He thanks supporters for their unwavering support and describes celebrating a Premier League title alongside Liverpool's fans as one of the most special moments of his career. Slot also praised the unity shown by supporters during his difficult moments, saying the bond between the club and its fans go far beyond football. From England to France, where champions Paris Saint-Germain returned home to Heroes' welcome after retaining the UEFA Champions League title. Thousands of supporters lined the streets of as the players paraded their trophy through the city following their dramatic penalty shootout victory over Arsenal in Budapest. The squad later, the celebrations were overshadowed by incidents across several cities, leading to hundreds of arrests and injuries. French authorities have promised strong action against those responsible. And finally, attention turns to women's football as the Nigerian women national football team begin preparations for their upcoming friendly matches against Senegal women's national football team ahead of the Women's African Cup of Nations. Head coach Justin Madugu has named a strong squad featuring Captain Rashidat Ajibade, star goalkeeper Chiamaka Inadozie, and veteran striker Asisa Oshuala. Several familiar faces also return. Nigeria steps up preparation for another continental title challenge. And that's it for now. From legendary farewells and European glory to fresh ambitions for Nigerian Super Falcons, the sporting world never stopped delivering unforgettable moments. Coming up next is PG News after the break.
Hello, my country people. This one now, a pigeon story where we dey carry every Naija people follow body. Our first story today, NLC, we don't reject the 100,000 naira minimum wage where state governors they plan to pay workers. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, talks say 100,000 naira too small and you know if you do anything for this our economy. Benson Upa, where they speak for NLC, talks say the money small for workers to take survive. He can say even if government talk something like 1 million naira every month, you know bad because of how life don't hard for Nigeria. As they jump, naira they fall, light bill don't high, and petrol price don't finish work. The man will be chairman for Nigeria Governors Forum, where still be governor of Kwara State, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, said that they look into 100,000 naira, minimum wage just to help reduction for the suffer where people they pass through for Nigeria. Ebola check for Lagos Airport now another story for today because Lagos State don't begin block road for airports, make Ebola sickness no enter Nigeria. Lagos State government don't start to set eye down for Murtala Muhammad International Airport, make international passengers not to join body together. They do this one to block dangerous Ebola virus, making no show face for Nigeria. Health organ, aviation people, and airport management, they check things out for the airport. They look how their screening machinery and emergency plan will function. This sharp response now because Ebola don't start to show face again for some areas for Central and East Africa. Professor Akin Abayomi, who be Lagos Commissioner for Health, talk say they won't trace any sick person fast, make the virus not spread, but they no go block normal movement for airport. Another story now, Oyo State teachers we don't start strike because of secondary and primary school students plus teachers where kidnappers been carried. The Nigeria Union of Teachers, NUT, don't order all public school teachers for Oyo State make them stay home. This strike begin on Monday, June 1st, 2026, and it no get end date for now. We go remember say for inside May, bad people been go attack schools for Yawota and Esinele communities where they Orire local government area for Oyo, where they kidnap plenty pupils, students and teachers, and they even kill 2 teachers during that time. Audu Amba, where be NUT president, say no teacher go work until everybody where they carry don't come back. He can't talk on Tuesday. He can't talk say on Tuesday, June 2nd, teachers across the country go do rally for state capitals to force government make them protect schools. And for inside politics, APC don't demand investigation after one woman died inside political party primary election for Osun State. The All Progressive Congress APC Campaign Council for Osun State wants to make police and security agencies do full investigation into how one woman, where they call Taliat Simbiat, take die for Iwo town. The woman died during the Accord Party primary election for Ayedire, Iwo Ola-Olua Federal Constituency. Remi Omowaye may be media head, for APC say the election turned to serious fight. Property scatter, and many people wound while one person losing life. He can talk say make security catch anybody we get hand for inside the matter, no matter the political party where the person belongs to. And on top of your children where they carry, President Bola Tinubu don't give order, make they employ 1,000 people where go they guard bush for your state. And he don't send special soldier team, make they go rescue those students and teachers where they kidnap for Rire local government. Femi Bajabiamiala, where be President Chief of Staff, lead one heavy delegation from federal government go visit SCLA and Yawata communities where the batting and teachers back home alive and safe. And for Obodo Ibo, UN Security Council want to do emergency meeting because Israel don't collect old cashew for Lebanon. The United Nations Security Council, they arrange emergency meeting after Israel army take over one historic old castle where they call Beaufort for South Lebanon. Now France call for this meeting and they come talk say this one where Israel they expand their war if it break the fragile ceasefire, which is the agreement where the two sides don't they violate before. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin say as they collect that medieval fortress, so he should say the war against Hezbollah don't change style. He can promise say they go drag the military operation enter inside deep places where Hezbollah been they control before. Now all the story where we carry today be that. My name na Sidika Yusuf. Welcome for that batch of videos. With these, we've come to the end of S24 Rundown. Do join us tomorrow same time and follow us on all our social media platforms at S24 Television. My name is Lady Brian.